Welcome to VEDA day 9. Child, life is moving. Today is April 9th, 2025, and you see I'm working with some clay. Today I'm just going to chat with you all briefly about materials management, and also to just say hello, because as promised, we're on talking about Ms. Steph Science Club and my tips and tricks and all those different types of things to make sure that more and more people know about the work that we're doing. So today, as I mentioned during yesterday's live and yesterday's VEDA video, I was telling y'all how I was coordinating with a fellow educator at another site to get a hold of some of the materials that the school offered me. Typically, I bring everything, but sometimes schools have like old science supplies or new science supplies that they know that they're not going to use for whatever reason and all that type of stuff. And so these are the supplies that I was talking about and referring to yesterday. And so today I am now getting this ready, because remember, you know how I'm always thinking about intent, plan, the plan, making the plan, and then executing the plan, right? And so I am working in advance to make sure that when we get back from spring break, this is actually here. This is going to be a landform structure. And since I know it's going to take me a while, and I know that one of my classes actually was essentially canceled for today because they are working with another vendor, a special vendor that's like super fantastic. But that class, I don't have them today. So I therefore am using my time. It's my intention to work with the students on a specific thing when we get back from break. So that's legit 2 weeks from today. So I am planning for that. A big thing when it comes to STEAM education is planning and managing materials. I talked to you all about materials yesterday, about cleaning up that space that I use. I hope that educator found her room appropriate this morning. Like I said, I cleaned up the big pieces, the majority of our marshmallow stuff, and I wiped the tables down and everything. I didn't just pick up the spaghetti, I wiped the tables down. So thank you for watching live with Ms. Steph. I see that we've got somebody on right now watching us. Today is April 9th. I'm coming in live, letting you know about tips and tricks as usual. Today's April 9th, which is the 9th day of VEDA 2025. And I wanted to show you and prove to you that I actually, not only do I say plan, I actually do plan. And so I am on here working with the materials. Remember, I told y'all yesterday that there were materials that I had asked one of the educators to set aside for me.
Pardon the interruptions. The following classes have 100% attendance. So 3K109, 4217, and 5209. Congratulations. Keep up the good work.
Yay. I told y'all I am at an actual school. If you didn't believe me, hearing that announcement should make you know that I'm actually at a school. This is what I do all day, every day, running around to schools and putting materials together and all that. So yeah, now that I secured the materials, I had class earlier, and they were given some clay, and you see this is the very hard to work with clay. This is closer to the actual real modeling clay, okay? Tip number 1 in working with this clay, just emotionally prepare yourself, not just the kids, but yourself. This stuff is very hard to work with. This is not Play-Doh. This is not some of the more modern clay materials that we've got going on. This very hard modeling clay takes a lot of work and takes quite a bit of time. It's softened by heat contact with your hands, by like pressing it and moving it around with your hands. I could use a tool to scrape it. I actually it comes in these blocks. Okay, and so I'm literally cutting this during class, as I was teaching class, we were reviewing the assessment that I had given them, because this is one of my fifth grade, my groups at this particular school. I have my upper elementary students that I always talk to you all about, and getting them ready there's the bell, that's actually the warning bell to finish this class period. Like I said, I don't have students this class period. So I'm using my time to use the materials that I had asked that fellow educator to earmark for me, get a hold for me. They were in a specific storage room, and so he needed to get into the room for me, all that type of stuff. And now I need to put this into a landform. I'm actually going to make it into a volcano. They don't know that, but yeah, I'm making it into a volcano. And so, tips that go with this particular modeling clay, like I said, emotionally prepare yourself that you're going to be working. You see how hard I'm working, you're going to be working with it. So if you need to cut it up, you can use a knife, or you can use, like this is a plastic knife. The plastic knife does get through it. You can run it under some water. Some warm water will help you ply this a bit. And just have a plan to distribute it. Plan to think about, okay, what are the kids going to do with it? Because I wanted to review the assessment that I gave them on Google. So the first tip is plan, which is kind of really, if you've been watching me, basically my tip all the time, plan. That's your first thing. Well, after you've set intention, right? Intention is, okay, what are we going to learn about? But really put a plan together of how you're going to distribute the materials, what you're going to use. I had actually several options for me. I have stuff that I have already here at this particular location. And I also had my plates that I have. Remember I told y'all I was going to the grocery store after yesterday's class? I did. I went to the grocery store. I got more marshmallows and spaghetti, as well as some additional plates that I'm using for trays right now. And so I knew that I would have multiple ways to distribute and put this clay out, right? And I knew what I had because I had been in communication. All of that is part of planning, meaning communication with the school and all that type of stuff. And then now, since, like I said, my second class was canceled, and then plus, even though the class basically is over because the bell rang, I know that I have a certain amount of time between now and getting to what is actually my third location. Yes, 3 locations on Wednesdays. 3 locations, 5 classes, spanning all the way as children as young as 3 all the way up to 5th graders. And so thinking about the materials and all that type of stuff, and of course I have to plan for transportation, all that stuff, okay? So here now I am working this. Y'all should really be able to tell that this is, I'm having to put some oomph to work this because I'm going to turn it into a volcano. And a volcano is a mountain that lava comes out of, okay? Right? As far as just when we're talking about landforms and the students, I did give them pieces of clay, as I said, during class. And so the first tip is plan. Second tip is prepare yourself to work with whatever kind of material you have. Like if it's a new material, you know how I feel about those. Well, some of y'all do. If you don't know, if you're new to me, new materials, if you've never worked with anything before, at least this I knew. I had seen it, even though it was in a specific storage space. I had actually seen these, and I knew that these were like the blocks, and so I was prepared mentally for that. But had I not worked with this before, I wouldn't know that it would take a long time to distribute, and it did take a long time to distribute during the class period because I wasn't able to get a hold of it before class and set it up a couple of days ago, and so I had to do it during class, right? And so planning for disruptions in class, planning for just the kids to be chatty because they're 5th graders. This is what's going on developmentally with them and all that type of stuff. So yeah, other tips. When you give assessments, this might not be like obvious for everybody, especially for those of us who are trained like me. My training is as a scientist, okay? And I have worked to learn more about being an educator. And so it may not occur to you to like, okay, so you need to do the assessment and then you need to review it, right? Working that in as a vendor, you know, working that in, making sure that you have plans for how are you going to review after you do the assessment, because you don't want to just have an assessment as a nonprofit person. We have to have all these numbers. And I'm really, really talking to the adults. So kids, if you're watching this video, I mean, you can keep watching it, but you know, this particular content really is for my fellow educators. And sometimes I talk to parents and all that, but today is really more for fellow vendors, you know, being prepared, thinking about how you're going to assess your program, thinking about not only how you're going to assess your program, but then making sure you're not giving the kids some assessment just so that you have numbers, but so that it's helpful to them, right? So then I needed to work into the schedule and coordinate with the other educator that I partner with here at this particular location. When are we going to review the information? Because if we know that students got questions wrong, we need to make sure that we spend time reviewing those questions that they've gotten wrong. Right? Again, I don't want to just have numbers just so I can look fancy to the school. I need to be functional. The experience needs to be functional for the students. So you see how hard this is? This is very hard to deal with. All right, so I'm building it up. Okay, so that's my other tip, right? Plan, prepare yourself for whatever material, especially if you got materials that are literally hard to manage and hard to do, plan for that. Then tip number 2 for today that I'm talking about is, okay, when are you going to go back and do what educators call reteach, especially for those of you who are non-traditional educators like myself, where you have knowledge in a content area, but maybe you weren't taught how to teach, right? So you have to think about, how am I going to go back, reteach something, or how am I going to review something that they've gotten wrong? Because as scientists, we know how to look at data. We do that all the time because that's our thing, okay? But what are you going to do with it once you have it? Apply that data. Make sure you apply it. Don't let those kids just take tests and you don't go back and talk to them about how they did. Don't do that. Don't do that. Yep. So yes, I'm working on this. Volcano, like I said, this will be here for me later. It's kind of sticky and tacky now, but it's going to dry. I'll be able to teach weathering with this, and natural disasters with it. These are some of the things that I'll need to be able to make sure that we cover. Because the kids, tip number 3, don't assume, especially if you're a vendor and you're pushing in and out of schools and there's different content that you're like, oh yeah, they should know that. Don't assume that they know things, right? And if you're like me and you give an assessment, so not only do you want to look at the data, not only do you want to like review stuff with the kids, but then if they get something wrong, like make sure that you're then teaching that content, right? Again, this is for people who are non-traditional educators, folks who maybe teach in schools because they have strong knowledge in a content area, and you're supporting schools, and that's especially with STEM. A lot of times dance teachers are like that, because you're the bomb at dancing, but maybe you don't know how to like do some of the other things, assessments and communicating with the school, all that stuff, right? Intention, plan, execute. All right, so I'm really working this thing here. What are some other things that we can talk about today? I don't know if there's anything else to talk about. Definitely send me questions if you have questions about Triple F Empowerment Inc., I haven't done a video that like says, oh, this is Triple F Empowerment Inc. in a while, and letting you know like the exact programming that we do in a little while. So I'll definitely be doing that during VEDA as well, probably next week, because next week. Okay. Next week we've got the break. So that's my next tip. How do you use your breaks? Right? So for me, I usually take, for the February break, I usually make February break a vacation. This is what works for me. So you decide that. Again, I'm very set intention, plan, execute. Okay? So during each break, I decided in advance at the beginning of the year, of the school year, what I would be doing during each of the break. I decided that the December break, I would do a big review, especially because not only do I work in schools as a vendor, I run a nonprofit. And so there's stuff that needs to be done. There's documentation that has to be done and sent out and all that type of stuff. And so I decide to take some of it as vacation and visit family and all that. And also some of the December break, I then use wisely to sit and plan and look at the year and do strategic planning for not only review 2024 is what I did this past December 2024. I reviewed 2024. And some of you know that I've been recently following a great educator on here recently. She's on YouTube and Instagram. I actually found her on Instagram, but now see her YouTube channel, Dr. EJT, Dr. Erica Jordan Thomas. And so some of the things that I've picked up from her recently is like reviewing things in your business, and then of course strategic planning. So I did some planning in December. But again, at the beginning of the school year, I already said that the December break, I was going to do planning. February break is my time for mostly vacation. I do some reading, like legit, read my Bible, just chill, okay? Hang out in a very sunny location with a family member, that type of stuff. And then the April break, or spring break, I decided this year I wanted to use that break to get ready for summer camp. Most of you know I already have most of summer camp planned out, but there's some additional things like specific, exact activities. I need to run some things. I'll order the shirts. All that stuff now needs to happen this coming week. Okay, so I won't be off, but I'll be focusing on planning summer camp. That's what I've decided to do with this particular break. And since I already have it in my mind, it won't be a surprise to me, and I'll be able to get done what I need to get done. We've already submitted a lot of documentation for summer camp. And if you want a video about what that looks like and some of my tips and tricks as far as like not only planning camp, maybe that's what we'll do next week. Yeah, I can come on later and talk to y'all about that. Planning camp, the regulations involved, especially here in New York City, there's quite a few regulations and just things that you have to do to be able to run a camp here in the city. And that's another opportunity for me to do a lot of coordination with my community partners, all that stuff. So working through not only the permit, but then, which I already submitted the application, because that BT Dubs, here's another tip. If you are thinking of running summer camp, you should have submitted your permit by now. If you're running camp this year here in New York City, you should have submitted your renewal. That's only for renewal. Folks who want new permits, y'all needed to submit like last month. But us renewal people, renewals are now, they used to be 60 days, but they are now due 90 days out. If you didn't know, you know now. All right. So I'm gonna put the last piece on. And yes, this is volcano different. Volcanoes have different shapes. Okay. Some of them have this like wider shape. Some of them do look more like a mountain peak, and the lava comes out of the kind of the pointier piece. And then I'm going to put some rocks around it and all that type of stuff so that they're able to see that. Because again, it's not just about them, fun volcano lava type thing, but them really getting to see landforms and have a conversation and me demonstrate the various processes that are going on there. Okay. And I'll make probably another like smaller situation over here so that we can see erosion and weathering, and I'll be able to demonstrate that too. So yeah, so I'm making this now for 2 weeks from today, which is fine. Plan in advance. That's pretty much it today. I really thank you all for watching Live with Ms. Steph. Thank you for going on this VEDA journey with me and for learning more and more about Ms. Steph Science Club. If you're wanting to support our work, because like I said, we are a nonprofit. We are official 501c3. You can actually look us up and learn more about Triple F Empowerment Inc. That's the name of the nonprofit, and Ms. Steph Science Club, for those of you who want to know the distinction and kind of the difference, is the name of the program that we run, where we house all of the activities that we're doing. We do have Saturday program this coming Saturday, April 12th, and I'm looking forward to all of the various events that we have planned. I pushed out on social media recently. I already started to push out a save the date for all of our spring events that we've got coming up. And of course, registration is open. Folks, register your young person for Summer Science Club, because it's going to fill up, because we only take but so many students, so that we have a nice, intimate group. That's pretty much it. April 9th, 2025. VEDA Day 9. Thank you for watching. Have an absolutely wonderful day.